Contradictory Congress. I don't know how often it happens, but this week, in less than a week, the Congress, this is the Congress of 2021, the federal Congress, passed a federal holiday for Juneteenth, just days before June 19th. And everyone was quite happy about that. We'll talk about Juneteenth later. But what is of interest and concern to me is that today, not even 5 days later, this same Congress failed to pass a Voting Rights Act to protect the voting rights of citizens of all colors. Now, to me, these holidays, they're good. They serve a purpose, we guess. The purpose for some retail businesses to find items that people will buy to celebrate Juneteenth. Now, I learned about Juneteenth over 30 years ago when I was living and working in Austin, Texas. And at that time, I thought it was a very strange holiday to celebrate learning about the Emancipation Proclamation a year late, meaning they were enslaved a year longer than they should have been. Well, I guess that is an example of a positive way at looking at a negative situation. And I didn't express too often my ambiguous feelings about Juneteenth because everybody loves Juneteenth. Everybody loves a holiday that has a good story, and Juneteenth definitely has a good story. And I'm not putting it down, and I think it's a great holiday, but come on, people. I was not the only one who noticed there's some contradictions going on with this Congress, even before the very obvious contradictory failure to pass a voting rights law, a law to protect and enhance citizens' ability to vote. In this, which is supposed to be the leading democracy of the world. Hey, not only are we losing that battle, we are losing influence in other countries economically. And our failure to serve as a good example does not improve the status of this country. Take a deep breath wherever you are. If you're driving, please keep your eyes open. But it's good to take a deep breath when you're driving. A deep breath will slow down your heart rate, slow down your mind, and make you a little bit more observant of what's going on around you, like that car trying to get in front of you. And the same thing with this contradictory Congress. What has been so heartening for me in the past few days has been to see posts and memes on social media and articles questioning the jubilation about this Juneteenth federal holiday. Because really, it's nice to have a holiday. But what good is a holiday when we've got people who want to take the fact that there was slavery in the United States out of the history books? And, that would be okay if slavery wasn't no longer being practiced anywhere in this country, in the world. But it is, in many terrible, sad ways. So people should know about it. But that's another discussion. This is simply to talk today about the Contradictory Congress of the United States of America, which is supposed to protect and enshrine the ability to vote. That is what makes us unique. That is what keeps us free. But if you block the ability for people to vote when they can, to use the most recent technology, to trust the mail systems. You wonder what can be trusted. What's to guarantee there's any fair votes? And then you have citizens like those in Africa. When the vote becomes subject to questioning and manipulation by people in power, citizens don't vote. Look at the countries like Iran, which recently had an election and people did not go to vote. The same thing in Ethiopia. And these are not big democracies. In fact, their democracies are questionable. And the United States is in no way protected from devolving into a state similar to that of Ethiopia or China, which imprisons dissidents, those who disagree with the government, and they don't have really free elections. Or countries like Saudi Arabia, where it's Muslim rule. There are Christians who want to control everyone's life and set rules about people's personal biological preferences and procedures as law when they may conflict with other people's religious practices. In my decades of living in the United States of America, and I must say I recognize every day and I say I'm so grateful that I'm still alive because I know that I have lived more years than many millions of people who've walked this earth. And that's why I'm speaking, because I firmly believe in the power of the word. And I have seen in recent weeks signs that there are other people who actually think the way I do and are actually manifesting dreams I've had. Today I learned of a trek that has begun in Minnesota going down the Mississippi, in which they are doing this to take care of the water, to take care of the river. And there were other people on the TED Talk show on NPR.org talking about the preciousness of water and protecting water. And water holds a special place for me spiritually and even in terms of my conception, because I was conceived in Reno around Lake Tahoe. And now we live overlooking Ketchmack Bay in Homer, Alaska. And just being near a body of water is a calming, nurturing, uplifting experience. And so these women were talking about the importance of us protecting water. And one of the women, an indigenous woman, talked about the effort to recognize bodies of water as people. And this woman is a lawyer, and she said if the United States Supreme Court can recognize corporations as humans, why not water, which is life? And this comes from the indigenous tradition of recognizing water and other elements and trees as beings, as humans, having rights and responsibilities for us to care for them. Now that got off a little bit of the Contradictory Congress, but we can tie it in because as they talked about the water rights, she mentioned that in every treaty, well, not every treaty, but many of the treaties made with indigenous nations, water and water rights are specifically addressed. And sad to say, those issues have not yet, in many cases, been they have not been fairly dealt with. Either the treaties are not being upheld or they're being ignored, or we also know that now we are in a time of change. And those of us who remain blessed to be on this earth, having survived the pandemic, in which millions of people have died around the world. So everyone who's still alive every day should wake up saying, well, thank you, I'm still alive. And the more that you have, the more thankful you should be. If you can take a shower in your own house with hot water, what a luxury that is. Do you ever recognize that, Americans? But I know here in Alaska, there are Americans who don't have that luxury every day. They live in cabins and go to outhouses, and some may live near friends whose showers they can use, and some are using other methods of showering. So today I'm going to end this discussion of the Contradictory Congress. And this is my return to podcasting after a very long break. But now that you can download the Vibrant Velvet Voice podcast, you can listen to this Vibrant Velvet Voice, yours truly, Skywalker Payne, anytime you wish, and more than once.